Hi, everyone. Welcome to this talk of community utility. If you don't know yet, I'm here to tell you we're part of many communities together already. And in particular, the core Ethereum community and crypto Twitter as well. And I can tell this even without looking at your Twitter accounts, your Discords, or your wallet addresses to find commonalities. And collectively, we just recently participated in a not so nice event. One of the longest standing pillars and most successful exchanges, Coinbase, has been under scrutiny and suing by the SEC. And if you've seen it on Twitter, how amazing was it to see how the whole community, us as projects, individuals, stood up to support them, to proliferate the meme, the validation, show our support. And yeah, today I'm not here to be the anchor for the old news. I really want to focus on the fact how we regrouped and came together as a community, and how, even though this is a very edge case and a large example, how there's many much more day-to-day examples in communities that we can use to activate, and there's more to do so as communities together. As we could see in the previous cycle, we're still only scratching the surface of what we can do with human coordination and revolutionizing communities in general. All the rug pulls, all the bubbles of projects, all the everything that we've experienced, it really shows that it's early. And as many of you, me too, we probably all hold a bunch of NFTs that we minted in the last cycle in hopes that it will be the keys to the new Bored Ape Yacht Clubs and friends with benefits of the space. And of course that did not happen because there was not much to do together after everyone got their NFT and entered the chat. And as we could see, I really hope that minting an NFT is only one step of the journey together, and it should not be the only thing that we do as activations together, because there's so much more that we can do to facilitate belonging, connections, and more bidirectional value exchange amongst the community. Community became quite the buzzword recently, and I loved naming the talk this anyway. And the definition of it, though, to kind of dismantle why it's a buzzword, it lies within when we check what actually community brings in value to projects in Web3. And it is sustainability, legitimacy, and distribution. If you're calling whatever you're building a community and it does not do one of these things, it's not a community. It's something adjacent to it, but it's not it. This might be a lukewarm, spicy take, but it is not a community if it does none of these. We'll go into more 3 use case examples of how we can cultivate much more of these 3 in any size, shape, form, or type of community that you might have with the project. How can we bring out more community utility with these activations? And the answer to that is roles. I'm a very big fan of roles. And yeah, by the way, I'm Reka, the co-founder of Guild.xyz, and our project is automated access and membership management, and roles is our big differentiator, and I'll be talking much more about the role of roles here. So why are roles important? With setting up proper role structures for communities, all of these onboarding, education, marketing campaigns, targeting, loyalty, and then retention can be elevated and actually tangibly improved within communities. And all of these can be done through some form of access to roles. And I'll be going through examples with targeting loyalty, but also growth in general. I love this quote. I also did a talk in Barcelona and I said it, and it was very well received, so I thought I'll repeat it here. Dictatorship at the door and democracy at the dance floor. This is a saying to really focus ourselves on having a strong curation system at the door so that there can be a much more free-flowing relationship building and connection building within these communities. And the metaphor also indicates that there's rooms within this entity that you enter through the strict curation mechanism. And I'd like to suggest that there should be more rooms within that entity or institution where people can form groups or enter these rooms around interest, their own internet history, or even, in our case, assets that they hold in their wallets. And how overlapping these rooms are is going to be very, very different in every and each community, and it's the purpose of the community builder to decide how these rooms interact and free flow between each other. Yes, so we'll get into how we can cultivate more sustainability, legitimacy, and distribution. I'll be saying a few words about the guild model because we build this model, requirements, roles, and rewards, as a system to manage roles within communities, because as you could see, roles are kind of like the abstraction layer that lets you take the community activations over into a new level, aside from it's not connected to any platform or any one campaign or any one activation that you're doing. So many and all communities for now projects use communities in their marketing efforts. And it's great, no problem with that. The challenge with that is that there's many projects that you can use that grant you some form of reward for completing certain tasks. And the difference that we do, for example, is there's roles in the middle there, which then, if you've probably participated in many of these campaigns where you do something, follow someone, and you get to mint an NFT that maybe grants you something in an airdrop, maybe it doesn't. What we do different is there's roles in the middle, and the roles really allow this abstraction so that you as a participant are not only in this one thing that happens, and maybe it's fully botted as well, and you're just 1 in 10 million entities that minted those NFTs, but can be actually funneled into proper membership structure so you can identify who's here for the long run and not only just for the hype. So the challenges that I've expanded on here is extending and growing the community without losing that stability that it had in the beginning, keeping the participants that were in these growth campaigns engaged so that you can keep more of them for the long run. And then, of course, the question of bots, which I won't go too deeply into because it's a very, very big pot of, or like, how do you say the bees? Like, I will not unlock this right now. The solution to that is curating who can participate in these campaigns in the first place. So the curation at the door. I think that's something that we're not doing enough of, but I'm going to talk about this experience that we did with Linea and how that worked. Providing the next step always for everyone who's participating so they know what's going to happen next, what they can do, what's a small thing that they can continue doing, which is not only minting an NFT, but something small that they can continue contributing with to find their way into the community and find out if they identify with the mission and what it's all about. And hidden requirements are something that we introduced, which helps a ton with the bot situation, actually. So in the example for Linea, they did a marketing campaign, like a very traditional one. But what they wanted to do is to see who is more of a Web3 citizen or has an older account and kind of keep out bots and malicious actors as much as possible. So their previous campaign did over 1 million mints on this other platform. And when we introduced hidden requirements for them to curate who can participate in this campaign that they were doing, it was around, I think in the initial week, it was like 60K members. So that's a very big difference. And from then on, they could mint guild pins, which are soulbound NFTs that you can mint on Guild once you joined. And those pins then enabled members to participate in different parts of the campaign moving forward on different platforms. And after that, they had the ability to funnel all these members into different roles and like try to get them into membership. When, if you can get 10%-ish members from a growth campaign into becoming more regulars, you're doing really good. And if a few of them become core members, you're absolutely doing better than anyone else in the space. Targeting, it's kind of the process for identifying members who are of different interests, backgrounds, internet histories. And the challenge with that is you really want to find the most engaged users and members of your community, channel them towards your highest value initiatives so that what you're putting most of your money and effort and time into, they participate in those if everything goes well. And then the really important thing is what we talked about, the rooms in this entity where there's democracy inside, is to form these subgroups, sub-guilds based on their context and their interests. So the solution might be for that is to create many roles for different interest bases, different member personas, what their histories are, what language they speak, what continent they're from. If you want to host an event for them, maybe here, are they already French? Like, can you actually target them better and invite them, make it easier for them to join? And for specific initiatives, which is another direction to look into this, is, for example, here in our example, Pull Together's initiative is the product feedback and testing opportunities is such a great thing that we can do in Web3, where the communities give all of that to the project. And Pull Together created roles for their special initiative where they shared the hyperstructure testnet Google document to work together with people. But to do this, they wanted to identify members who are super engaged, have been many of the community calls, they know what they're doing, and so they can contribute to this and test and actually have valuable input to the community. So what they did is they set up these roles for people who have been multiple of their community events and hold POAPs from the last 6 months of these events, people who have contributed code and have a Git POAP to prove so, and the third one is supporters of an NFT project that the founder of this made. And so with this, they could identify over 200 people for this initiative that are super engaged. They know what the community is about, and they're super happy to contribute to this conversation in Discord and the Google document for furthering this project in the community. Loyalty, to not use so much jargon and what the heck is loyalty, it's essentially the willingness that members show to continue participating. And the challenge with that is you really want to find the members who are most active, who are already retained users, so they've been around for a little while, who are your biggest supporters, who are evangelists, they like onboard people to your project, and members who are already identifying with your project and what you're doing. They know what your mission is, and they really feel at home representing that themselves. And how we do it is, again, roles, but for activities. So in Uniswap, for example, in their guild, they set up roles to identify who's providing liquidity in their V3, who are biggest exchangers on Uniswap based on their nukes badges, so how much they transact on Uniswap in the protocol. And the longest standing campaign that they did a few years ago, I don't know, many of you remember probably the Unisocks NFTs. You could burn them and get physical socks. It was great. At one point, it was worth thousands of dollars. It was wonderful. But 6 people still hold those NFTs. Those people have been around for years, probably. Well, they could purchase them secondary as well, but that's really long-standing support, and they could identify them this way. And this, we're coming to the end. I'm saying like nice things to finish. Is I'm here to really encourage builders to make the internet fun again and enticing, because I'm a true believer that we can make it more than just a mint, and we can build systems and structures and rules and communities where there's much more value exchange back and forth, and it actually is sustainable, and it gives us distribution that we really want, and the loyalty and the legitimacy. Because as we saw with what happened with Coinbase, to just go back to my example, how we stood together and have that strong belonging for an issue that we faced together that like threatened our own projects and legitimacy, cultivating those is so worth it, or even on a smaller scale. So yeah, let's build in a way that our individual and group participation can give rise to much better connection forming. And with these examples, and I hope you personally as well have seen that it is actually possible, absolutely possible, and we have the tooling to support it, because I know that's been an excuse before, but it's not anymore because we have it. So yeah, go out and build it. And if you have any questions, shoot.
Do you have any questions? Okay. No, I'm coming. My job.
Hey, one of the things that we are having as a community is this theoretical issue of allowing people into higher positions in our community, but then once they have life changes, for example, they can potentially contribute less to the community as a whole. And so we are trying to like solve that issue of removing them from the higher or the inner circle of the community, for example, making big decisions, without them wanting to like just leave the community altogether. Do you have a thought on somewhere where you can still retain them because they're valued members of the community, but still saying, hey, you know, in actuality, I don't know if you should be in this big decision-making facet?
Absolutely. So it requires so much trust in our anonymous culture to let and bring people in as core contributors and big decision makers across the globe, time zones, you know, not meeting them ever and having ruling over millions of dollars possibly. My advice is the same as with the normal company. You would have almost like an exit strategy, or like not only a plan for onboarding, but offboarding as well. And having that expectation set before can allow much easier transition. And with these members who, for example, they could contribute full-time for a while, and then they can maybe only do part-time or 10 hours a week, the offboarding like solution set before is really helpful, but specifically have things that they can still contribute with, since they're very trusted, high value members in the community that aren't taking full time for them. And if you can, you probably won't, because who can see years ahead or months ahead, set those things that, so they know what they can look ahead if they like have a life change. How can they still contribute to the community? But if not, and that comes up, just have a conversation with them and set new expectations, and yeah, just adjust at time. Thank you for the question.
Just a quick question, does it integrate with Discord?
Heck yeah. So wait, let me go back. So here, as you can see, for example, the liquidity providers, the reward for that is a role in the Uniswap Discord. So how we do back and forth, like Discord is our native home for, like, that's where we started as a project, just token gating Discord based on NFT attributes and everything, like almost 2 years ago. Most communities still live in Discord in Web3. So you can use it to create new roles in Discord based on these requirements that you set. Or you can mirror existing roles in Discord that another bot is creating for you, your security bot, whatever you have, or you manually give out to the high value contributors and then bring those back into guild roles as requirements. So you can mix them with other stuff too. So you could say you manually gave a role to someone like, yes, you're a core contributor, and you bring that in as a requirement, be a core contributor and hold a new NFT and a new campaign, and also come to the events and hold the POAPs. And that not only will make you a core contributor, but like an evangelist person kind of. So like you can use them in abstractions as well. So it works back and forth with Discord. It's really good.
Hey, great talk. Thanks for that. How does Guild think about kind of empowering communities to be a bit more self-sustainable? I think people have seen through the last few months and years that like sometimes communities start from initially getting in a whole bunch of money from whatever NFTs people are minting or whatever other initiation they came from. But as these things kind of drag on, what kind of things is Guild seeing or planning around for community sustainability?
So what we have, and I wish I could just go on the internet and show you, I don't know if I can do that, but we have requirements that are so flexible for you to create revenue streams within the community. So even if you don't have the leverage or the power on the mental space to think about an NFT launch and create the whole like campaign around it so it's actually successful, you can set up requirements for payment. So members can come, and it's almost like a subscription or a Patreon model where you set the requirement that, let's say, every month there's a new role that has $20 as the entry fee to participation in these like special rooms or dance floors or just Discord channels in the conversation, or have access to your snapshot or any other activations that you're doing. So we have that, so they can pay with anything, essentially USDC, ETH, anything that they have. It's very flexible. Or what else? Yeah, I think that's the most flexible. You can also monetize your POAPs. So we have a native integration with POAP as well. So if you have an event-based community, which many communities do, we also have a few regular events. You can also make attendance for that cost like $2 maybe, so like $2-3 for people, which is not a lot. It's a coffee. Still, it helps sustain the community efforts and kind of have a tiny treasury that you can maybe hire contributors from or just give some longevity to the project. Grassroots.
We still have time for one last questions or two. No? Anything you might want to add or something?
Yeah. Thanks for everyone for coming. And I hope you also, wait, let me go back to the fun slide. I hope you also value this belonging and connections we can foster. And you took some of that, at least the mentality with you, even if you don't have a community. Yeah, we are on the brink, I think, of a very large explosion of what we're doing. You know, it's not an urgent thing, but having this mindset of how we can provide more value to members and people who support us and are around us is essential. So I'd like to encourage you to keep that in mind. And roles are super valuable. So also, there's a few other projects that you can use roles with, but Guild is probably the most interoperable and flexible. We have over 30 integrations, over 20 exchanges. So you can do many, many things. It's free, permissionless, self-serving. So come see it anytime. And if you have any questions, reach out to me or my team on Twitter. And thank you, everyone, for coming and listening.